Welcome to episode 100 of the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. This is Ken the Metal Professor, and as you know, during the stay-at-home times, there's not a lot of wrestling going on. And so I was first thinking, I'm almost to episode 100, and then I'm going to wait, and episode 100 will be coverage of, like the first live wrestling action taking place in Northwest Indiana when this all lets up. And then I decided, I don't really want to wait that long for episode 100, so let's get something started. So here I present to you round one of Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling, coming to you from an undisclosed location. This is a round of 64 single elimination wrestling tournament put on by yours truly in all I can say is it's a wrestling Dungeons and Dragons. What I've done is created a bracket of 64 individuals from around this area, people that I'm quite familiar with, having covered ACW, NGW, ARW Pro. There's so many of them. I'm frying my brain trying to come up with them. RCW, you know who they are if you've been listening to this for a while. So they're in an elimination round of 64. A few people provided promos to go along with this to have a little bit of fun. And then the winners of each round are determined totally at random with a little bit of a nudge in odds if somebody had submitted a promo. So I am going to let you listen to the promos that people cut first for their matches, and then we'll talk about the results. One thing I want to mention first is that when I came up with this genius idea and I drew up the brackets, it wasn't hard actually to find 64 people from my Facebook friends list that were wrestlers from this area. Couldn't get all of them in, but got a lot of them in. I made up the bracket, I posted it online, and within like 10 minutes somebody had replied saying, hey, somebody else has already done this. I was like, what? So the person who had done it was also one of my Facebook friends, so I went to his Facebook area and discovered that, by gosh, I was not the first one to do this, although mine is a much more streamlined and stupid version. So what I'm going to do first is recommend that if you like this kind of thing, just as a thought experiment to continue your interaction with wrestling, go look for the 2020 Promo of the Year tournament put on by James Rampage from Eastern Indiana and Michigan and Northwest Ohio Wrestling Zone, where he invited people to do this very thing here in a much more sophisticated fashion, where the wrestlers have submitted promos, and then there's fan voting to determine the winners of each round. So there's a lot more promos, and his are mostly video promos. I think they're all video promos, and it's run out of the Facebook group, and he's putting a heck of a lot of work into it, whereas I'm just kind of throwing this around and seeing what sticks. So hats off to James Rampage. I contacted him and said, hey, I think I basically copied you, although mine's not as sophisticated, and he was very cool about it and gave me his blessing to go ahead. I was going to pull it if he objected to mine being there, and I could see why he might, but he didn't, which was very, very nice. So we're going to proceed. You can follow this on my Facebook page if you want, Ken Luther, but you'd have to go look for the post or keep track of what's coming out. But anyway, enough yapping. Let's listen to what some of these people in it had to say. This is Ken the Metal Professor, your host of Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling. We are backstage at an undisclosed location where the round of 64 randomly seeded Empty Arena Wrestling tournament is about to begin. I will not be bringing you the live action because I am not allowed in the main part of the arena due to our social distancing protocols. However, from backstage here, I can present to you some of the comments some of the wrestlers have made, as well as the results of all of the matches once the tournament wraps up in the first round. There are 32 matches, though, so that could take a while. A few people stopped by in advance to give some thoughts about their opponents, and I'm going to let you listen to what they have to say. First of all, one of the random pairings that starts off this tournament contains Dick Davis, who you may know from Backbreaker Wrestling, taking on Idle Hines, who I know from PWK, Pro Wrestling King. He operates more over in the central and eastern Indiana area. Dick Davis and Idle Hines have not faced each other before. This is a first, and here is what Dick Davis had to say.
What's up, wrestling fans? This is Dick Davis here, and I'm coming at you on behalf of the NWI EAW tournament. Now, not only am I the Backbreaker Wrestling Legacy Champion, but I'm also a first round pick in the tournament. And I'm going up against some man that I have no idea who he is. Idle Hines, I don't know. Who does he think he is? Devin Sawa? Heine's Chicken? Heineken Rana? Doesn't matter. What matters is whether it's inside the arena, outside the arena, empty arena, full arena, Idle Hines doesn't stand a chance against the Legacy champ. And I know, and you ought to know, that I'm going all the way. Dick Davis out. Old style.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Now coming down the hall is another person who's going to be appearing soon in the show in this Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling Round of 64 competition. In this first round of random seeding, Cliff Caviar, the luxurious one, is set to take on Richie Rothschild. You have seen both of these working in our immediate Valparaiso area as places such as Fire Pro Wrestling and Acme Championship Wrestling, among others. Richie, what do you have to say?
Cliff Caviar. I got nothing nice to say, so I'll say nothing nice real quick. First of all, you should be thankful of the nature of this tournament, that it's empty arena. That's going to be a trend for the rest of your career, because anytime you step into a ring, I know it has a way of clearing seats. You should be thankful to the fates that we're not actually having a match, because coming out from a match with me, the gypsy Richie Rothschild unscathed, is a luxury you couldn't afford.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gypsy King, Richie Rothschild. I'm being waved at from over there under the stairway where it's very, very dark, and I'm kind of concerned, but I am going to do my job as a host. In this round of 64, one of the opening matches is Cujo, that you know from Backbreaker Wrestling, Acme Championship Wrestling, taking on Hardcore Harry, which you may have seen most in Pro Wrestling King and RCW. As I'm getting closer, it looks like a very furry arm sticking out from under the steps, so I'm pretty sure that's Hardcore Harry, and let's listen to him growl from his position under the steps.
Cujo. It's gonna be just like a Stephen King movie. But you're the first to die.
Well, this tournament was supposed to be in good fun, and I know competitive juices will be flowing, but that's the first thread of actual murder that has come around here on Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling. A few more sets of words to hear before we get out to the action. Later in this tournament, one of the pairings is going to be ACW favorite Crimson Dynamo taking on ACW non-favorite Xavier Black. Crimson Dynamo is coming this way, and let me see if I can get him to say a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Crimson Dynamo, and I'm here to talk to you about the Northwest Indiana EAW tournament and why I should be moving on in the tournament. In the bracket, I am faced against a man I know quite well, Xavier Black. Xavier Black, you have all the qualities to make a great wrestler, but there's one thing that I can do that you haven't, and that's won the hearts of all the ACW fans and everywhere I've been. So that is why I, Crimson Dynamo, should be moving on in this tournament.
You can always count on Crimson Dynamo for some positivity. Another person you can count on for positivity and perhaps some giggles is Billy the Kid. Now, he is scheduled to face Theo Storm in the first round of this tournament. Billy was out in the arena warming up the people in attendance. Oops, I'm not supposed to say there's people in attendance, right? Because we're under stay-at-home orders. So I'm sorry, no, there's nobody in attendance here. Billy the Kid was out practicing his improv comedy skills, but I think he's coming back through the curtain now. He looks pretty happy, so it must have gone well. Let's Billy, can you say something about your match with Theo Storm?
This is Billy the Kid representing Backbreaker Wrestling as one half of the Tag Team Champions and also representing ACW as the three-time Tough Man Champion, which makes me the toughest son of a gun in this entire tournament. Now, first round, I'm up against Theo Storm. Theo, I have no idea who you are, but to me, all you are is just a breeze compared to the thunder that I'm going to bring down upon you. You ain't moving any further than this, son. And I'm sorry, but that's just the end of your story, because it's just the way it is.
Quite a shift in intensity on Billy the Kid's part, going from providing jokes and quips to intensity, but I like it. I think we're almost time to begin the tournament. With just a few seconds left, though, let me see if I can grab Thomas the Benjamin Keith here. He's counting his cash in his billfold, so I don't know if he's going to allow me to disturb him, but he's scheduled to take on D.W. Kelly in this tournament, although Thomas the Benjamin Keith is not dressed yet, so perhaps he has something else in mind. Let's see. Mr. Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thomas the Benjamin Keith, but to you dirt poor losers, it's TBK. Now, I heard that there's a little tournament going on to see who is the best in the Northwest Indiana. And first bracket, they have me against this guy known as D.W. Kelly. See, I don't know much about you, Kelly, but I do know one thing. Everyone loves money. I am offering you $5,000 just to walk away and let me take this victory. Because there's one thing I know. Cash rules everything.
Excuse me if I talk while I'm picking up these dollar bills that Thomas Keith just threw at me. That was kind of rude. Right before we go outside for the tournament action, I see the Rat Pack conversing over in a corner. They're trying to get themselves psyched up. Several members of the Rat Pack are in action in this round of 64. Okay, they're breaking up, and Diesel Toxie is coming this way. Let me see if I can catch him for a second.
You know, in life, there are some universal truths. Some things that you just can't get around. For example, in the business of professional wrestling, everyone knows that emotion sells tickets. If you can get two guys, two girls, a guy and a girl in the ring that hate each other's guts, you can almost guarantee it's going to be a heck of a show and people will come see. But in the case of your boy, the mayor of Pack City, Diesel Troxy, and Louis Rojas, there's no hate. Louis Rojas, man, I love you. You're a heck of a guy. Any locker room we've ever been in, we gave some daps, we did some handshakes, we did a little hugging. I think we've had breakfast a couple times together, the whole nine. But it's not about all that right now. How much I love you has nothing to do with how much I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Because you see, they've put a thing together, they've put this tournament together, and you're round one. That's all you are. I got to put the rest of it to the side for right now, Louis. So me and you, one-on-one, may the best man win. And remember, two things. One, I love you. And two, winning ugly is still winning.
That was Diesel Troxy with words for Luis Rojas, his opponent in the first round of Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling. As I mentioned a while ago, the action is about to begin. I am not able to go to ringside to bring you the action as it's happening because of capacity rules in this particular time. So I have to stay here backstage, and I will bring you the results when the tournament has concluded. So at this point, let's not take it to the ring. You are listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program on WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my legs are asleep from sitting here backstage while 32 grueling matches in Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling's Round 1 have taken place, but the tournament's first round is concluded, and now I am set to bring you the results. I was not able to be out there due to capacity rules, so I stayed back here, fell asleep a couple of times, but it's all good. I can tell you what's transpired as a recap. This tournament, with 64 workers from the Northwest and Central and North Central Indiana areas, were seated randomly. 64 spots, 32 matches. You heard some words from some of the wrestlers beforehand, and now let me tell you how it all went down. Match number 1 was Dick Davis taking on Idle Hines. Before the match, Dick Davis decided to celebrate by busting out a cooler of old-style beer. Idle Hines also agreed to imbibe a bit, and perhaps imbibed a bit too much, because Dick Davis was able to come away with the win. Idle Hines' reflexes were a little bit slower than normal. The second match featured Jaden Quick and Excalibur. This was a quick and high-flying match. Excalibur tried to go for his standing shooting star press, but Jaden Quick was quick, and he was able to roll out of the way and roll up Excalibur after the impact. Now, I don't know that I mentioned before, but this was an intergender tournament, although 62 of the 64 entrants were dudes. But, you know, it was random, so what are you going to do? One of our first round matches was Moxie Molly taking on BD Smooth. And I think BD's sexiness was just too much for Moxie Molly to handle, and BD Smooth came away with the win. The specimen, the perfect physical specimen, Maverick Cage, taking on Brutus Dillon. Now, this was a hard-hitting match, two large and powerful individuals. However, I think Brutus Dillon may have still been struggling with some injury he sustained in RCW a while ago. He gave it his best shot, but he was not able to overcome Maverick Cage. So Maverick Cage will be moving on to the next round. Young Money, who is Thomas the Benjamin's Keith tag team partner in the team High Society, which you've seen at New Generation Wrestling and Acme Championship Wrestling, and I think even Backbreaker Wrestling, although off the top of my head, I'm not sure about that. But Young Money, like TBK often does, or like they do as a tag team, he tried to buy himself out of the match. Now, his opponent, Jante Keith, who's from the Michigan area and who comes down into, North Central and Northeast Indiana and over into Ohio. Young Money did offer Jante Keith some cash money to forfeit the match. And for the first time ever that I've seen, it actually worked. And so Jante Keith walked away with the money, but Young Money walked away with a forfeit victory, which will leave him a little bit fresher for the next round, perhaps. Lightning Bolt Johnson taking on Johnny Motley. Now, Lightning Bolt Johnson has very little hair. He was busy admiring Johnny Motley's flowing locks when Motley surprised him and got the pin. Tony Rican taking on Rick Raid. Now, Tony, you may know, is also known as the Average Guy Gourmet. He has a YouTube channel. He has a new cookbook out. I recommend that you go check out both of those. Now, he invited Rick Raid over for dinner the last night before the match so that they could have a nice, friendly match. And apparently, Rick Raid ate too much. He was very hungry after all of his time in the wastelands, and Tony's show of sportsmanship actually ended up giving him the edge, and Tony Rican comes away with the victory. Gabe the Brave Juarez versus Dakota Prodigy. Gabe used his size and experience to overmatch Dakota and comes away with that win. And you heard Richie Rothschild talking to Cliff Caviar before all of this got started. Cliff Caviar, the luxurious one, was suspicious when he was missing some of his gold swag, and he was worried that Richie Rothschild may have stolen some of it. So he was investigating Richie's bags at ringside to see what was in there, and maybe he could recover some of his swag. When Richie drug him into the ring, hit him with a big elbow to the side of the head, and got the pin. So Cliff Caviar's avaricious nature ended up being his downfall. Austin Fury taking on TK0. TK0 got outside the ring to go look for some kids to yell at, but there were none there, and so he was very puzzled about this. He got back in the ring, and Austin Fury ended up hitting him with a cannonball and then a frog splash to put him away. So Austin Fury is moving on. Roger Lanier took on the flawless one, Dave Allen. Now this one went to almost a time limit draw. These guys were very evenly matched, but Roger Lanier snuck in a power slam for the victory right before the final bell. Adam Bueller making a comeback, taking on Jared Kripke. Adam was making fun of Jared Kripke's new haircut, and this distracted Jared Kripke to the point of being infuriated, and he lost his composure, and that allowed Adam Bueller to get the upper hand. He delivered a coup de grace, much like Finn Balor, off the top ropes, landing smack with his feet on Jared Kripke's midsection, and Adam Bueller gets the pin to move on. Sabotage took on Jeremy Hadley. Now, I have it on good authority that Jeremy Hadley overloaded with too many chocolate chip banana nut muffins before his match, and that slowed him down, allowing Sabotage to win with a split-legged moonsault out of the corner. Sabotage moves on. Jeremy Hadley goes home for more chocolate chip banana nut muffins and making more memes to share on Facebook. The Polish heartthrob Jaron Skalka taking on Steven Drochner. Now, Steven Drochner is in the Rat Pack, and he tried to make a joke about eating rat paxi, but the Polish heartthrob was very disgusted by this intentional mispronunciation of the yummy Polish treat pączkis, and he used his anger to come away with the victory. You heard Hardcore Harry growling about Cujo before this match. Now, Hardcore Harry is the tag team partner of BD Smooth. They are in a team that very many people just love to see, especially when Hardcore Harry takes off his shirt. They are the Slobberknockers. Now, Moxie Molly was defeated by Brandon Smooth, or BD Smooth, earlier in the tournament, and she had her friend Karma Kazi come out to ringside to exact some revenge for that on BD Smooth's partner. Karma Kazi attacked Hardcore Harry outside the ring with a lead pipe, and Hardcore Harry was counted out. Cujo gets the win there. In match 16 of 32, Drex Odell taking on Scotty Young. Now, this was another well-fought, even match until Drex Odell actually hit a moonsault and pinned Scotty Young for the win. The second half of the tournament, we saw Kurt Joseph taking on Douglas Stout. Kurt Joseph is a member of the Masters, and he does most of his fitness regimen out on the golf course, swinging those clubs and walking around in the freshly cut grass. He has not been able to golf recently, and so his cardio was not up to what it normally is, and so Douglas Stout was able to take advantage of that and get the win. Kyle Cross met Rancid Joey Rack. Now, Rancid Joey Rack, we know from ARW Pro, we know that he is a member of the family. And during this match, all 26 members of the family came to ringside, and that proved too much of a distraction for not only the ref, but also Kyle Cross. Rancid Joey Rack comes away with the sneaky win. Cletus Farmer took on Jorge Bravo. Cletus Farmer tried to teach Jorge Bravo the lyrics to Cotton Eye Joe, tried to get him to clap along with the right beat. This was distracting enough to Jorge Bravo that Cletus was able to deliver a big clothesline and then pin Jorge Bravo. Jorge Bravo still has not successfully learned to clap to and sing Cotton Eye Joe. Rockstar Johnny Nye taking on Drew Skills. Now, I have to admit this one was a surprise because Drew Skills is a very powerful wrestler fighting out of Indianapolis. Johnny Nye is quick and agile. Drew Skills is big. For some method unknown to me so far, Rockstar Johnny Nye did overcome Drew Skills with his quickness. Got Drew Skills in a pedigree, flattened his head on the mat, got the pin. Shady Chris Zion took on Fireball. Now, Fireball is a tag team partner with Cletus Farmer in an on and off fashion. Cletus did come out to ringside. It wasn't clear at the moment whether or not he was going to be antagonizing or helping Fireball. Shady Chris Zion was puzzled as well. And it turns out that Cletus was out there to help Fireball because he distracted Shady Chris Zion enough for Fireball to get the pin. Billy the Kid took on Theo Storm, as you heard at the start of this program. Billy the Kid has been studying Hulk Hogan during quarantine, and he finished off Theo Storm with a great big leg drop off of the top rope, actually, which puts him higher than Hulk Hogan in the leg drop Parthenon. Fresh out of New Generation Wrestling, we had Jake Roan taking on Lawrence Bon Poffo. Jake has appeared in New Generation Wrestling and Backbreaker. New Generation Wrestling is the home of Lawrence Bon Poffo. Jake Roan managed to get into Lawrence Bon Poffo's head. Now, Jake is a relative newcomer. I guess we could even call him a rookie, perhaps. Lawrence Bon Poffo has been in the industry for a long time. He's a veteran with a lot of experience. But Jake managed to get into his head by telling Lawrence Bon Poffo that his personal copy of Fantastic Four 45, which is the issue that contains the first appearance of the Inhumans, was not really an 8.0 as graded by CGC, as Lawrence Bon Poffo claimed it was, and this made Lawrence Bon Poffo lose his cool. He did not summon his powers of the Thing, and he was defeated by Jake Roan. In our second and only of two intergender matches, JC Bunyan took on Charlie Cruel. Now, at this point, we're like 36 matches into the tournament. I had to go to the bathroom from my backstage position, so I wasn't able to peek out through the curtain. So I didn't really see what happened, but JC Bunyan did come away with the win. However, I just a few minutes ago saw Charlie Cruel with a very big scowl on her face, carrying a sharp knife in her teeth and scowling down the hallway. So if I was JC Bunyan, I'd look out. Tony Thunder took on JT Quick. Tony Thunder's shenanigans were too much for JT Quick, and he came along with the win. Kevin Graves versus Jimmy Holmes. Here's a match out of Acme Championship Wrestling. Kevin Graves also appearing recently in Backbreaker. It's an interesting pairing because Jimmy Holmes is a school teacher, and Kevin Graves walks around with his letter jacket and his yearbook. Knowing his advantage, Kevin did come up to Jimmy at the start of the match and asked him to sign his yearbook. And when Jimmy Holmes was about to do that, Kevin Graves hit him upside the head with it, knocked him to the mat, and Jimmy Holmes was pinned. He may be used to getting hit in the head with boxing gloves, but I think a solid yearbook strike is a whole other story. Then we had Luis Rojas taking on Diesel Troxy. And you heard Diesel speak a little while ago, where he was saying that his good friend Luis Rojas was still going to be in for a beating, even though they were really good friends. And I worry that Diesel was still trying to be a little bit too nice because Luis Rojas did come away with the victory. I don't know that Diesel was putting his all into the match with his good friend. Crimson Dynamo took on Xavier Black. This is like a rematch from many ACW competitions. Crimson Dynamo did come away with the win with his Dynamo Punch. Thomas Keith took on D.W. Kelly. Now, you heard Thomas the Benjamin Keith's offer to D.W. Kelly before this show began, where he offered D.W. Kelly money to forfeit the match. When Young Money tried that earlier against his opponent, it actually worked, and he was able to come away with a forfeit along with a loss of cash. In this case, D.W. Kelly came to the ring. He pretended to accept Thomas the Benjamin Keith's offer. Once he had the money in hand, he graciously held the ropes for Thomas Keith to exit the ring. Thomas Keith exited the ring, at which point D.W. Kelly gave a signal on the lowdown for the ref to start a very quiet 10 count. When he reached 10, he rang the bell, declaring D.W. Kelly the victor. Thomas Keith walks away without a victory and also without his cash. 3 matches left to go. Cade Lee took on Gregory Glover. A battle of true veterans. This went a long time until Cade Lee started getting a little frustrated, went outside the ring, grabbed his nightstick from under the apron, came back in and clobbered Gregory Glover with it outside the view of the ref. The ref was tired at this point because he was the only one there, and this was his 30th match. And so Cade Lee got the win. Nick Cutler defeated Kevin Storm. Just like Billy the Kid has been studying Hulk Hogan, Nick Cutler has been studying the Iron Sheik, and he put away Kevin Storm with a vicious camel clutch. And finally, Mitchell Taylor took on Angus McDuff. You never know which Angus McDuff you're going to get. We found out very quickly this way. His partner from Project Revolution Wrestling and other promotions, either in very western Indiana or over in Illinois, his partner, the Arabian Sheik, made an unfortunate appearance, distracted the Burger King Mitchell Taylor, allowing Angus McDuff to come away with the dastardly pinfall. And that summarizes all the action in the first round of Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling. There will be 32 wrestlers left in the second round. We're going to start this all over again with a new bracket featuring the 32. The matchups that follow along the original tournament bracket as it was set up, and you will hear those results on the next episode of the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. This is Ken the Metal Professor. You have been listening to the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program on WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso, Indiana.
This is embarrassing!
And now here is a coda for those of you sticking around on the YouTube version of this program. As I mentioned before, this was a 64-person tournament seated totally at random. I just made a list of 64 people, and then I had Google Sheets randomly arrange the names in the column, and then I just picked them out in order in pairs. And then we started from there, and the rest of this will follow the bracket pattern. I wanted to make sure that you saw that there were no shenanigans going on. And so what I did was, each of these contests was decided also randomly by the roll of a die, literally. A virtual die, courtesy of Google, but still a 10-sided die where in the pairing of two people, a roll of 1 to 5 would give the victory to one person. A roll of 6 to 10 would give the victory to the other, except in the event that somebody turned in a promo, which about 6 or 7 people did. That nudged them from being in the 1 to 6 for a victory range, whereas the opponent would have to land in 7 to 10. And so I recorded all of my rolling for this, and so I'm just gonna stick that on to the end of this video. So that if you just want to see what was going on and see how the results came about, you can do that. So, if you're, wondering about the results of a particular pairing, you're like, oh, he likes this guy better, so he picked them anyway. That wasn't anything to do with it. It was literally a roll of the die in every single case. So this is all in fun. I'm not promoting certain people over other certain people. Once the thing was set up, it's going totally at random all the way through to the end. And so each time I will include the capture of the selection process, the random selection die rolling process, just so you can You can see there's no shenanigans going on in case anybody's worried about that, which I hope they wouldn't be, but you never know, right? So that is coming up right now. Greetings, wrestling fans. This is the initial rolling round for the Northwest Indiana Empty Arena Wrestling tournament competition. So what I'm doing here is just making a record for whatever reason. In case anybody wants to call shenanigans, I'm going to record my rolling of the die that are determining the winners of each round in this Wrestling Dungeons and Dragons tournament. A few people actually submitted promos, and when I first posted about the tournament, I said that the submission of a promo would nudge the odds in your favor from 50-50 to 60-40. So when it's a match between two people and one of them did a promo, a roll of 1 through 6 will determine that the person who submitted the promo was a winner, and a roll of 7 through 10 on this virtual 10-sided die will determine that there was an upset. Otherwise, it's 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. So I'm just going to go down the chart in order from the upper left. There is absolutely no ordering in terms of seating or anything in this chart. This is just totally random bullshit made up to have a little bit of fun. So between Dick Davis and Idle Hines, Dick Davis submitted a promo. So 1 through 6, Dick Davis wins. 7 through 10, Idle Hines wins. And let's see how it goes. And Dick Davis takes the win. Even without the promo, he would have done it. So Idle Hines is gone. Okay, Jaden Quick and Excalibur. Neither one submitted a promo. So 1 through 5 for Jaden, 6 through 10 for Excalibur. Jaden. I'm going to start worrying if it's the top of the two every single time. Then we have an intergender match. Moxie Molly against BD Smooth. 1 through 5 on the top, 6 through 10 on the bottom. A 10. So BD Smooth is the bottom big time. All right. Maverick Cage versus Brutus Dillon. 1 through 5 top, 6 through 10 bottom. Maverick Cage for the win. Young Money versus Jonte Keith. 1 through 5 on top, 6 through 10 on bottom. Young Money taking that one. Lightning Bolt Johnson versus Johnny Motley. Johnny Motley takes that one. Rick Raid versus Tony Rican. Tony Rican takes that one. Dakota Prodigy versus Gabe the Brave Juarez. Gabe the Brave takes that one. Cliff Caviar versus Richie Rothschild. Richie Rothschild submitted a promo. So 1 through 6 for him, 7 through 10 for Cliff Caviar. Oh, Richie Rothschild barely squeaking in for the victory. The luxurious one is no more. Austin Fury versus TK0 at even odds. So 1 through 5, 6 through 10. Austin Fury takes that one. Roger Lanier versus Dave Allen. Even split. Roger Lanier. Sorry, flawless one. Adam Bueller versus Jared Kripke. Adam Bueller takes that one. Sorry, Jared. Spending too much time on your skateboard. Sabotage versus Jeremy Hadley, and Sabotage takes it. Okay, I am starting to worry that it's the top one of the two getting it every single time now. Here comes the Polish heartthrob, Jared Skalka versus Steven Drochner. All right, this is getting ridiculous, but this is theoretically a random 10-sided die, and you know there's only 2 choices, so... Okay, here comes Hardcore Harry versus Cujo. Hardcore Harry did submit an audio promo, so 1 through 6 for him. Uh-oh! Our first upset, Cujo, comes in at the finish line, upsetting somebody who actually submitted a promo. Sorry there, Hardcore Harry. I appreciated your participation, though. That was fun. Drex Odell versus Scotty Young. Drex Odell going in. All right, let me shift the things around on the screen here. All right. Kurt Joseph versus Douglas Stout. 1 through 5, 6 through 10. Douglas Stout takes that. Kyle Cross versus Rancid Joey Rack. 1 through 5, 6 through 10. Rancid Joey Rack. The family is represented in the tournament still. Cletus Farmer versus Jorge Bravo. 1 through 5 goes with Cletus. Johnny Nye versus Drew Skills. Johnny Nye with the big victory over the monster from Indianapolis. Shady Chris Zion versus Fireball. Ooh, Fireball, kicking butt. Billy the Kid versus Theo Storm. Billy the Kid. Well, and he had submitted a promo, so he was eligible for 1 through 6. He didn't need it. Lawrence Bonpafo versus Jake Roan. 1 through 5, 6 through 10. The young guy taking out the older guy big time. Look at that. Charlie Cruel and J.C. Bunyan, another intergender mix-up here. J.C. Bunyan. Tony Thunder and J.T. Quick. Tony Thunder coming in. Kevin Graves versus Jimmy Holmes. See, 1 through 5, 6 through 10, right? So that would be Kevin Graves. All right, here we go. Luis Rojas versus Diesel Troxy. Diesel submitted a promo. So he's 1 through 6. Luis Rojas, 7 through 10. Oh, Luis Rojas coming through. Okay, Crimson Dynamo versus Xavier Black. Crimson Dynamo submitted a promo, so 1 through 6 for his odds. There he goes. Crimson Dynamo coming in with the victory. Thomas Keith versus D.W. Kelly. Thomas Keith submitting a promo, 1 through 6 for him. Uh-oh. The king of memes, D.W. Kelly, still in the hunt. Cade Lee versus Gregory Glover. A couple of veterans going head-to-head here. One of them has to go, and it is Gregory Glover is out because Cade Lee was in the 1 through 5 spot. I'm circling these on my printout, and I hope I'm circling the right ones as I go along. Nick Cutler versus Kevin Storm, 1 through 5 for Cutler. There we go. And Mitchell Taylor, the Burger King, versus Angus McDuff, 1 through 5, 6 through 10. And Angus McDuff in there for the victory. Okay, so this is just for posterity's sake that the rolls were legit and there was no shenanigans in the selections. Now, I did say at the start of the promo that I would do catastrophic rolls, like in Dungeons & Dragons, that if there was a victor, there's a very, very slight chance that in their victory they suffer an injury, right? And so now I'm going to go through the victors, and I'm going to switch myself to a 20-sided die. There we go. What happens when I roll when there's 2 on the screen? Okay, I don't need 2, so you go. No, stop that. No, I don't want a modifier. I'm just going to reload this page. Okay, okay, that's how this page works. Okay, so this is now a 20-sided die. I'm going to recap through the winners, and if there is a roll of 1 for any of the winners, then that is a catastrophic roll, and unfortunately, even though they came away with the victory, then they are out, and they will be replaced by means to be determined. Okay, so Dick Davis, let me move this over here. Now, you're not going to see the victors circled or anything because you're still looking at the static screen, but Dick Davis was the victor in Idle Hines. He's safe. Jaden Quick was the victor with Excalibur. Safe. Beatty Smooth. Safe. Maverick Cage, the perfect specimen with the perfect roll right in the middle. Young Money. Safe. Johnny Motley. Safe. Tony Rican. Very safe. Good work on the Average Guy Gourmet webpage, by the way, and the cookbook. Everybody should go buy a copy. Now that I've said that, I figure I have to. Gabe the Brave, safe. Richie Rothschild, safe. Austin Fury, safe. Ooh, but danger. Roger Lanier, safe. Adam Bueller, safe. Sabotage, yep. Polish Heartthrob. Man, it's a good thing I didn't pick 20. I picked 1 was the catastrophic roll. Ooh, Polish Heartthrob. He needs to be sweating. Cujo. Drex Odell. So he might be coming in with a limp next round. Douglas Stout. Rancid Joey Rack. Cletus Farmer. Johnny Nye. Fireball. Billy the Kid. Come on, we got to get a 1 for somebody. Jake Rohn. JC Bunyan. Oh man, another one. Maybe next time I'll pick 20 as the catastrophic roll. Tony Thunder. Kevin Graves. Luis Rojas. Crimson Dynamo. D.W. Kelly. Cade Lee. Nick Cutler. And Angus McDuff. All right, everybody was safe. No catastrophic rolls because I picked the wrong end of the spectrum. But, okay, so everybody's in. This is not like the official audio that's going to go up. Again, this is just for record keeping. I'm going to put the audios together with some descriptions of the winners of each match into a little audio production. Going to play it on air on WVLP. Going to make it available by YouTube and on Facebook. So I will be doing that over the next day and a half or so. Hopefully it'll be out by in time for the Wednesday night broadcast of my radio show. And then once that's done, then I will create a new bracket with 32 people left, and we'll redo the whole thing.